I would like to invite onto the stage a very good friend and dear colleague of mine, Mr. Peter Lazou, the founding member of OtherDots Foundation, and he'll be speaking about enabling financial inclusion globally. Can we get a round of applause for Peter?
Hey,
welcome.
Clicker.
Clicker, yes, we will deliver right away.
Okay, guys. Well, I'm going to keep this really short and sweet because you're probably getting hungry. But before we begin, I'd like to set the scene by asking each of you to think about or think of someone special who doesn't have the same opportunities as you do, someone who doesn't know where to start. And I'll come back to that at the end of the presentation. Ah, the black hole. Okay. No. Okay, so I'm going to improvise. Okay, forget the slides. Okay, I'll off-the-cuff stuff. Pressure. Okay. We live in a very interesting entrepreneurial world today where we have an overwhelming number of startup competitions where aspiring entrepreneurs have the opportunity to be able to register, showcase, and present their startups for the objective of winning that competition, whether it's winning money, whether it's winning services in kind, or even the opportunity to network with potential investors for future funding. At the same time, we also have some really interesting acceleration programs around the world where startups, where if you like, our founders are profiled and their startups are enrolled in order to be able to take them through a 3-month program with the aim of getting them funded at the very end. Those who saw the black hole is where I'm leading to this. And for me, I have a question. And the question is, what happens to those aspiring entrepreneurs who don't win those competitions? What happens to those startups that don't get invested? And we seem to lose them in this black hole, and we don't seem to have an opportunity to follow and see if they're continuing their journey or not. Ah, there we go, the black hole. But what about this gentleman, this aspiring entrepreneur, like many others, who are confined to a camp, who don't have the financial means to be able to participate in in startups or events, or even the opportunity to be able to enroll into an accelerator program in order to fulfill their dreams. And this, for me, is where the entrepreneurial ecosystem breaks down. It breaks down because we should be able to have the equal opportunity no matter whether you're from an emerging country or from a developed one. And for me, it's absolutely vital that we give these opportunities to these people at the same time. But having said this, there are some really good organizations and initiatives around the world today that are helping to make this happen. And there have also been some real success stories. And M-Pesa is a great success story out in Africa where they've actually contributed to financial inclusion through mobile payments. The problem with M-Pesa, unfortunately for them, is 10 years old. So it's time for a change. It's time for something else to happen. And PayJoy is an interesting one because they've recently just got funded to be able to provide financial inclusion in Latin America. And all this is great because it's paved the way for OtherDots. And OtherDots is a foundation that really is about bridging that gap, bringing together that opportunity so that it allows emerging and developed countries to be able to create new environments and also be able to create opportunities to make this happen. And you know, for us, it's all about, it doesn't matter who you are or where you're from, it's about the opportunity of moonshotting, it's about the opportunity of making the impossible possible. To make this happen, we've had to put together an awesome founding team. And that founding team is supported by a global network of amazing advocates who are absolutely committed to making this happen. So what is OtherDots? OtherDots is the first social impact fund ever on the blockchain. And our mission is to be able to provide financial inclusion and freedom to the 2 million unbanked over the next 5 years. Now, with our focus on emerging countries, there was no better place for us to actually host our initiative, which will be commencing at the end of this year at the hub in Nairobi, Kenya. Not only does it support their 2030 vision, but it's also an opportunity to make our initiative stand out and take note of what's happening. So where do we start? Well, we have to put humans at the center. So what we're going to be doing is handpicking 15 of the most ambitious and brightest men and women from both emerging and developing countries, bring them together to moonshot and build 5 disruptive startups. The only commitment we ask from them, or literally because we're actually going to be funding the entire investment of this, all we ask from these 15 entrepreneurs is literally to give up everything that they're doing in order to commit to this journey 100% of their time. We then take them and give them world exposure. We'll take them through a 10 days rigorous process, a rigorous process of matching founders, team building, merging mindsets, and human-centered design, where we literally take them through understanding what it means to take an idea, to understanding people's needs, to understanding business opportunities. We will then fly them to Silicon Valley to be inspired by people and stories, but not from those born in the US, but from those immigrants who made their way to the US with little than $5 in their pockets, who have become successful in their own rights, but also have become, who also made a great disruption around the world today. We then bring them back to Kenya, where we will be venture building them and building their startups from ground zero. From this perspective, we're going to be injecting $25,000 in each of those startups to help them along the way, at the same time providing critical services, advice, and expertise in order to guide them to build scalable, successful startups during their early stages. And as the lead investor, we'll continue to invest in these startups all the way through for 2 years up until Series A funding, supporting them along the way, no matter where they've decided to incorporate their organizations. So in essence, OtherDots is a program, a studio, and a fund. We are in the middle right now of raising a $5 million fund, and that's the instrument that's going to be used to fund these startups. Our fund is tokenized on the blockchain, meaning it's entirely transparent. Investment is fully liquid. That means, contrary to traditional funds, investors are able to sell their tokens at any point in time. And because our tokens, our tokens are asset-based and producing ROIs, okay, we eliminate the risks, which is what ICO utility tokens have. Investors are also able to follow, in total transparency, all expenses, all revenues, okay, at the touch of at their fingertips through a smartphone. What we've done is pretty much taken the bad out of the crypto and put the good in the blockchain. And with smart contracts automatically paying the ROIs to the investors, it delivers this, if you like, opportunity where there's no delays and no excuses from anyone. And when a startup exits or IPOs or the fund sells its shares, the dividends are automatically paid to the token holders. So how does the blockchain really help, and how can blockchain enable financial inclusion? I'd like to share with you Something with regards to an issue that's a massive issue for Coca-Cola, for example. Coca-Cola provide and supply to around the world, and especially in rural areas, locations where there is no opportunity to buy stuff and sell stuff other than cash. But unfortunately, like them and many others, cash goes missing. And it becomes a huge issue. But there are many other possibilities where the blockchain can add value. And that can be in areas of microfinancing, it can be areas of payments, identity, money transfer, as well as insurance. So the blockchain, in essence, does make a lot of sense and in financial inclusion, because it's all about helping to distribute value rather than wealth. Now, I started off by asking you to think of that someone special, and the reason for asking for you to do that is because that's what OtherDots is all about. OtherDots is all about giving that opportunity to those who don't have it, from both emerging countries and both developed countries. Giving them an opportunity in order to make an impact and make a difference in the world. So, on that note, and I said I'll be quick, I'd love you to join us on this journey and spread the word. Thank you very much.